going on, Armstrong kids? It's me, Mr. Summers, here from my palatial Edina estate. I'm in the bunker right now. Jeeves will swing by a little bit, bring me some tea, but I'm here to go over these 5 evidences of evolution. If you didn't get these, if you were Miss Lautenschlager's class, you probably missed out on it. So here we go. Look at this fresh pointer I got going. Just rich. All right, we'll start at the top. If you have your notes out, it probably makes sense to copy those words written in red down, as they are the 5 evidences of evolution. You never had to say that word before. It's biogeography, then fossil record, comparative anatomy, which includes these 2 things, which are homologous structures and vestigial organs, embryological development, and that so fresh molecular biology. We'll start at the top with biogeography. Biogeography is a pretty simple concept. If you are at home looking at this, which you probably are because you're quarantined because coronavirus, virus threats and protection. How pertinent. There are simple things. If you want to click on this link right here, which is the biogeography section, there's a little bit of Khan Academy on it, but simple idea that obviously things that live near each other tend to show similarities. So if you are living in Island A and all the selective pressures in Island A are relatively close to the same, these species will all evolve to be relatively close to the same in terms of features. But if you're looking at this one, if there are like a physical barrier between them, like water or mountain ranges or something along those lines, you can have possible options of different appearances. Obviously, the stuff affecting species D here and what it lives in and what would make it best suited for environment is way different than what is affecting species A there. So those things tend to matter. That is what biogeography is. Real simple thing. Things that live near each other tend to look alike. Things that look far away from each other tend to look different. Evidence number 2 is pretty simple also. It just states that the fossil record will provide some sort of evidence of changing the species over time. Now, there's a problem with that, as the fossil record is rather incomplete, but if you're saying that things changed over time, you should see those changes in past organisms and whatever that might be. So, for example, there are no dinosaurs outside. True story. I've been looking for them, but they don't exist. This is my gorgeous wife, and this is a Tyrannosaurus Rex right there. The problem with fossil record is pretty simple, that there are more than just the things we have found in the ground, right? Obviously, to become a fossil is a challenging concept. You have to die, stay undisturbed for a while, and then be found by somebody years later, and then that person has to have some knowledge of what you are, and then be able to piece together that you have evolved to something different. This is that so fresh law of superposition stuff we learned before. Things at the bottom tend to be the oldest stuff, and then as you come further up, you're looking at more recent developments in evolutionary history, but you should see organisms that change from here to here as you move on up through this process. That is what the fossil record shows. Booyah. Seeing how I teach the anatomy sections, I'm a big fan of the comparative anatomy parts. This part is pretty simple, that if you are saying that we have common ancestors, then homologous structures should exist between them. Right? As you are moving from one species to the next in evolution in history, you don't completely redo the species, you just very simply adapt and evolve over time. So homologous structures are very prevalent in things. If you watch this sweet 3-minute and 48-second video on a fish with fingers, you can check that part out, that some species of fish have evolved bony structures that are similar, but you should see similar internal structures that have markedly different functions based on the fact that they're used by different species for different things. That's what comparative anatomy shows. Take a look at this so fresh pic. These are the bones of your forearm and your upper arm, which is like, look at this manly bicep right here. Ooh, hey. Right? Humerus, radius, and ulna, as you go through them, that's this bone, and then these two, right? In your functional upper limbs, they are the same 2 bone structures as they are in a cat, right? A humerus, a radius, and an ulna. Even in a whale, right? Humerus, radius, and ulna, and even in a bat, humerus, radius, and ulna, even though these limbs are used for completely different things, right? They all have the same bony structure on the inside. Why does that matter? Because if the argument of evolution is very simple, that things change over time, you should see commonalities in the things that are still present, right? Why would this whale have this bony structure for fingers, and if it doesn't have fingers, right? This bat, it's not using these fingies for anything, right? Just got this little clamper up here. And this cat and this human being, right? Obviously different functions from your arm as it is from a cat's paw, but the bone structure is still the same. To go along with that, there are structures in your body that are not used anymore. If you haven't ever had to say this word before, it's pronounced coccyx, which is your tailbone. These things are called vestigial. So evolution works until the point in time where something changes. Well, now if that something doesn't matter either direction, if it doesn't matter beneficially or if it doesn't matter detrimentally, right, those structures then are not affected by the concept of natural selection and evolution, right? It makes sense that if it's not helping or hindering, then it's not being changed. These vestigial structures are the same thing. You, as it turns out, have a series of bones at the end of your spine that are called your coccyx or your tailbones. You also have an appendix, which is some part of where the large and your small intestines meet. It's kind of a little tube that kind of goes nowhere. And if you look at this sweet pic on this next slide, boa constrictors, which do not have legs, have 2 bones for a pelvis, which doesn't make sense. Why would it have bones for a pelvis if it doesn't have legs? Because that's what your pelvis does. It holds your legs to your ribs, your spine. And if you don't have legs, why would you have a pelvis? Because it's a vestigial structure. It doesn't help. It doesn't hinder. Here, I'll show it to you in the sweet pic, right? You have this coccyx right here. So this, if you've never seen a picture before, is a side view of a human body. Femur, pelvis, spine up here, and some ribs. And at the bottom of this bone right here, which is called your sacrum, you have a series of 3 or 4 fused together vertebrae that don't protrude out of your body so that they're not affecting any part of how you're alive. They are called your tailbone, your coccyx. And this is showing you ribs and spine of a snake. And these 2 bones, which make up a pelvis, which, why would you have a pelvis if you don't have legs? Right? Vestigial structures. This is our 4th evidence of evolution, or its embryological development. Embryological development is saying that as things are growing from fertilized egg to functional organism, that the progress as it goes through that steps is all relatively similar, no matter what the species is. If you click on this video link right here, there's a little video on embryological development, but I can show it to you in this so sweet picture. On this pic, if you've never seen it, right here is a lamprey. Feel free to Google image search what a lamprey is if you want to have your dreams haunted for the next 20 to 46 days. Lungfish, some other weird things you never heard before. I think that thing's called a hellbender. Cool. That sounds like it's really haunting also. Snake, chicken, possum, cat, bat, and human, right? If you're looking at the first stages of embryological development, not too much difference between this bat and this snake and this bat, or even as you're getting further on, not too much between a possum and a person. I like that, possum and person. That is how this process works. So the stages of embryological development are relatively close to the same as you're going through species that have no similar looks. Now, obviously, this graphic is intended to get you to believe that they all look exactly the same because, look, they're all facing the same way and their arms are up the same way, but realistically, it's not far off from very similar. Our last one for evidences of evolution in the 5, one of them is molecular biology. If you click on this so sweet link right here, you'll find out that things are relatively close to the same. Concept is pretty easy. If you are saying that evolution takes place because things change over time and they vary and they have commonalities and differences, then you should see those commonalities and differences in, obviously, the things that make them up. Well, it turns out that the same sugar, phosphate, and base that makes up you, the same stuff that makes up a bat, same stuff that makes up my butler Jeeves, same things that makes up my adorable 2 kids, is the same stuff that makes up a strawberry, is the same stuff that makes up any living thing you can think of. Even that lamprey you just Google image searched, haunting dreams, right? Same thing. Sugar, phosphate, adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, all the same. And then The proteins that make them up are not far off from different. There will be a little amino acid one that we'll do a little bit later that Miss Lautensager will walk you through, but it's relatively close to the same stuff, right? DNA is DNA, whether it's in you or me, or whether it's in a rabbit or a strawberry. It's all the same things.